Here, read this.
Woof.
Good morning. It's Sunday, the 9th of November. 9th of November was Anne Sexton's birthday, and so to commemorate it, I thought I'd read you a poem of hers, and then maybe share some quick thoughts on it at the end. This isn't going to be a full-on, line-by-line type procedure that I do in the podcast. This will just be some quick ideas. But we're going to focus on the reading of the poem. So this is Sylvia's Death by Anne Sexton, dedicated, if you hadn't guessed, to Sylvia Plath. O Sylvia, Sylvia, with a dead box of stones and spoons, with 2 children, 2 meteors, wandering loose in the tiny playroom, with your mouth into the sheet, into the roofbeam, into the dumb prayer. O Sylvia, Sylvia, where did you go after you wrote me from Devonshire about raising potatoes and keeping bees? What did you stand by? Just how did you lie down into? Thief, how did you crawl down alone into the death I wanted so badly and for so long? The death we said we both outgrew, the one we wore on our skinny breasts, the one we talked of so often each time we downed 3 extra dry martinis in Boston. The death that talked of analysts and cures, the death that talked like brides with plots, the death we drank to, the motives and then the quiet deed. In Boston, the dying ride in cabs. Yes, death again, that ride home with our boy. Oh, Sylvia, I remember the sleepy drummer who beat on our eyes with an old story. How we wanted to let him come, like a sadist or a New York fairy, to do his job, a necessity, a window in a wall or a crib. And since that time he waited, under our heart, our cupboard. And I see now that we store him up, year after year, old suicides. And I know, at the news of your death, a terrible taste for it, like salt. And me too. And now, Sylvia, you again, with death again, the ride home with our boy. And I say only with my arms stretched out into that stone place, what is your death but an odd belonging, a mole that fell out of one of your poems? O friend, while the moon's bad and the king's gone, and the queen's at her wit's end, the barfly ought to sing. O tiny mother, you too. O funny duchess, O blonde thing. What do you make of that then? I have to say it's a poem I find more interesting than good. I don't think we're supposed to like this, but I find it off-putting the way that the speaker, I think we can say Anne Sexton since we're comfortably into the realm of confessionalism here, but the way the speaker horns in on Sylvia's suicide, it's not really her suicide, it's our suicide. Me too, she says, yeah, even directly after a line where she's already talking about herself. It quite violently stakes a claim in Sylvia Plath's death. Oh, suicide. Actually, I was going to do that. Elegies for poets by poets rarely tend to be about the one that's dead. Take the example of Robert Burns writing epitaphs for his hero, Robert Ferguson. A lot of the dread about his own fate comes out almost instantly through his identification with Ferguson. And I think something similar is happening here. It's a Sexton poem, it's not a Plath poem. And I think that is a limitation of confessionalism. By definition, it can't not be about you. You can't confess to someone else's life or the world outside yourself. And another drawback of the confessionalism style is its crudeness. It lacks the shape and the force of a Plath poem, in my opinion. The cuts to parentheses seem a little unmotivated, and the way it has to clumsily accommodate unprocessed real life, the bit where she references the letter that Plath sent her. Oh, Sylvia, Sylvia, where did you go after you wrote me from Devonshire about raising potatoes and keeping bees? It came with the 10 o'clock post, I believe, Tuesday. It was in October. I suppose it's a matter of taste whether you find the rawness of that powerful or just a little bit sloppy. What I do like about it is what it does tell us about Sylvia Plath and Anne Sexton's relationship. We have a glimpse of those days in Boston when they were both studying under Robert Lowell, the reference to the 3 martini afternoons. If you've not read it before and you want an account of that period, you should read Gail Crowther's brilliant book, 3 Martini Afternoons at the Ritz, which is about Plath, Sexton, and the other students in Lowell's class. So I think we can almost go as far to say that it's an important biographical glimpse of Plath. And I also really like the way it engages with Plath's own imagery. It was written only days after Plath's death in 1963, so it must be one of the very first poems to respond or seriously engage to Plath's imagery, with the exception perhaps of Ted Hughes. And I think I have to say the best lines in this are lit by the afterglow of moments in Plath. Above all, it reminds you, perhaps unfavourably from the poem's point of view, of Plath's vitality, her stronger images, her tighter control of her poems. I've always had trouble with Plath being lumped in with the confessionalists because while she did use all the trappings of confessionalism, she was streets ahead of the rest, I think, even before she turned up to Lowell's class. There was always much more going on. There was always a mythic underpinning to lines that struck a confessional chord, ironically. And I think without the Plath factor, there are lines in confessional poems like this that feel like romanticising self-destruction. Between lines like "The barfly ought to sing" and "Me and Jack Daniels got a history" is a rut any frog could straddle.